All right. Whew. Captain's log 1486. It's been a long ass time since we've been doing the Worst Generation podcast. By my count, we've been away for about a year and a half, some time. The crew has really been focusing on other ventures inside the timeskip. We've had a lot of level ups. Power scaling is off the charts right now. They can't even keep up with us. The cannon is crazy. I feel as we were in the backgrounds working on ourselves, other things have arisen for us, such as Anime After Dark or other projects we were working on. And ultimately, the Worst Generation podcast to me started to feel a little bit like a background in the shadows type thing. So it brought me to the point where I felt like our first episode back should be about anime series that have been in the shadows. And we're going to discuss a little bit about what that means for us today, whether they're overshadowed by similar series or if something else had happened at the same time in a series that would have been great any other year, kind of fell behind, a la 2019 with all of their hits. Without further ado, I just want to go ahead and get right into the show, man. Let's get it cracking. Happy to be back. Yo, what's up, Supernovas, and welcome back for the first time in a long time to the Worst Generation podcast. I'm your host, GB, and it feels good to be back in the building. Before I do anything else today, I want to make sure that I introduce the crew first and foremost because I know they anxious to get to talking too. First up, y'all know him as the first mate of the pod, our Mr. Twitter Fingers. We got One Piece Leak in the building.
Yo, what's cracking, man? It's One Piece Leak. It's been a long time coming to come back, but shit, we back, so I'm not gonna take up too much time. Let's get to it.
All right, well, let's get to it indeed. Second up, we have our HR consultant. He runs the entire department, keeps us on our toes, make sure that we don't get hit with any crazy lawsuits from the anime community. We got none other than Master D in the building.
Yo, niggas and niggettes. Welcome to another episode of Worship Podcast. I'm so happy to be back. I want to do the intro so badly, but Lee didn't do his intro, so I'm not going to do mine. We're going to keep pushing, but just know I am the HR department, so be prepared. I will be keeping an eye on all the shenanigans.
No, bro, you gotta do your intro. You gotta.
Well, say fucking less. What's
just
good,
niggas? Intro don't mean you can't do yours, bro. Do your intro, bro.
What's good? It is Master D, aka Pandemic D, aka Mr. I paint on their walls and Plan B didn't work out. There's always a Plan D, aka Drax to destroy, aka Nigga Rome with the dense bones, aka Corona the Forgotten One, aka Hello, Worship the Hotline. This is Master D speaking. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Worship Podcast. We will be talking about anime in the shadows. We've been in the shadows. Well, we in the light now. We're going to be coming back with strong, better, and even greater episodes. I got some more hotlines on the way. So I hope y'all are ready for this.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. That's how you do an intro.
That's it, man. It's been so long. I had to do it right. It felt good. It felt good.
It felt good, bro.
It felt good.
Last but certainly not least, another person who I know got the intro ready, been waiting to do the motherfucking intro. I'm gonna just let him get into it. We got that boy Frankie on the pod today too.
Yo, my supernovas, what is good? It's time to get the podcast popping. It's the Superman of Metropolis, the Batman of Gotham, the man who told the Grinch there will be no Christmas. It's me, that boy, Frankie, hitting y'all with that super, and still and always rapping for the casual anime fan. What is good, pod?
Them some great motherfucking intros. Y'all really made Leak look bad. I'm here for that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Hey, Frankie, bro, when did you add those new epithets, bro? Huh? You became the one that stole Christmas? When did that happen?
That's been there, wrong.
Nah, it's
No,
been there. See,
That's been
Rome
Yeah,
don't
it's
be
been
paying
there.
attention.
It's been a minute
Subscribe
though.
to
I
the
know, but
podcast, Rome.
that's
Yeah,
subscribe
been
to
bro.
the
there.
podcast.
Subscribe to the pod, bro.
I'm gonna
Subscribe to the
subscribe to the
pod.
Patreon. I'm gonna subscribe to the Patreon for sure. You know,
Uh,
someone with like free.
speaking of something to the podcast, definitely shout out to all the new Patreons that we've made over these past 2 years from Anime After Dark. We're happy to be bringing the Worst Gen Pod back to y'all. I hope that y'all appreciate and enjoy these episodes. Y'all be getting the videos on the Patreons and the audio on the Patreons, but you can also find us on all your favorite podcast platforms: Spotify, iTunes, what is it, Apple Music, or does Apple have their own podcast app?
Apple
Apple
Podcasts.
Podcast. Yeah.
Google Podcasts, wherever you listen, iHeartRadio. I don't give a fuck. We there. Y'all can find all of our episodes. So we happy to have y'all. Shout out to any new patrons that we have. And everybody that's a part of the Worst Gen Alliance. Like we appreciate all y'all for y'all support. And we just glad to be doing this. Today's topic is we're talking about series that have been overshadowed. And it's kind of going to be a two-part conversation. First of all, we want to talk about uh, what do we consider an overshadowed series to be? Is it something that was very similar to another series and just got overlooked because there was another one that was better than it? Or was it a series that just really came out at the wrong possible time for it, at the worst possible time? Is like, it was too many other hits out and we just didn't have time to look at that series. So I definitely want to hear from the crew about how they feel about it. Now I'd like to kick it off with that. From you guys, what criteria are you considering when it comes to overlook and overshadow series?
Well, I'll kick it off. I'll be the first one to chime in on this topic. For me, I feel like when it comes to overshadowed series, I look at it like they might have came out around like similar times. So like say like we had anime like AOT came out and another anime came out, but they didn't get the same hype that they did because like say AOT came out and I think what else came out at that time. I won't say Astra because Astra was one of those great series that came out, but like it was overshadowed by I think I can't remember what it got overshadowed by, but it's one of those great series that was really wonderful. But because all the other people, so much hype was on either My Hero or AOT, like no one even cared about it. They weren't thinking about the smaller 12 episode anime that was focused on the long run. So for me, it's like some anime that came out similar time and didn't get enough shine. It might also be like it have similar plot line because a lot of anime have a lot of similar plot lines. But like it all depends like which one does it better, which one has the flashier animation, which one doesn't have the flashier just like fighting styles or whatever it may be. That's the way another reason why I would say like that's overshadowed for me.
I definitely had Astra Lost in Space on my list. I have both Astra and Fire Force kind of like in the same vein for me,
Yeah,
for pretty much the same reason. They both came out in 2019. I do think that Fire Force failed to execute fully on season one. Like the audio was great, the visuals were great, but I don't think that they quite got the story enough like the manga to like really capture anime fans. And it was just a lot of heat in 2019 too. Like
yeah,
Dr. Stone, Demon Slayer, like AOT, Mob, like everything was dropping 2019. You had to have damn near a 10 out of 10 to like really shine in that space. And
yeah.
so Astra and Fire Force definitely Fire Force less than Astra, but Astra really got overlooked in 2019, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Like that was really wonderful, great 12 episode series, and it encapsulated everything it needed to encapsulate in those 12 episodes. You had the lore, you had the character development, you had the mystery, and it's for me for people not to even check that out, even think about it. It's like, come on, don't be so like mainstream brain. Think about what else is out there. Like check out other anime series, but no one ever focused on that because all we're focused on is like what's being hot right now, what's being talked about, what's generating the conversation. And Astro Lost in Space was one of those that was just kind of like in the shadows essentially because it was great for the people who knew about it. They loved it. But for people who didn't know about it, they're like, oh, I'll check it out maybe. And it's like that's how a lot of animes always get overlooked because people never want to give it a chance. They always want to be like, oh, I'll check it out later and never actually check it out because they feel like it's not going to be as good as the mainstream. And the mainstream is great because it's in the limelight for now, but like there's so many anime out there that are similar. It's like it's hard not to even think about like what's good or what's bad. It's a matter of like you're just trying to like, cause like Doro and like Dororo and like Demon Slayer. Those are like two anime with like similar plot lines. Like they're both fighting demons. They're both kind of like in the similar time period era, but like one is more flashy than the other one when it comes to like the sword fighting style, and another has like a slower paced animation and slower paced like story. So it's easy for Doro to be overshadowed because like it's not as exciting or not as appealing to the audience as would be a Demon Slayer. And that's sad to say, but like that is how most anime are looked at. It has to be like either eye peeling or catching to the audience. Like especially in this day and time where a lot of people have a lot of short attention span. If it doesn't click you like the first episode, then they're not gonna push forward, and that's really upsetting.
I think that's a good point for anime fans, like the flashy aspect of it, and why like Demon Slayer is doing, or not just the only aspect that why it will overshadow Dororo,
Mhm.
but speaking from the flashy aspect, I wonder if the same thing holds true to manga. So like I'm gonna transition to Leak because I think Leak will have a lot of perspective about how he feels about manga and overshadowing other stories.
So it's difficult when it comes to manga because unless it's something that's in like a Shonen Jump or on a Viz, you probably won't see it. Like when it comes to manga, a lot of times you get recommendations to read stuff. And I know at least for me, like the reason why I don't consume a lot is because I simply don't know it exists. So I feel like when it comes to manga being overshadowed, either A, there's something already out that's animated that people are watching. So I mean, why would you go to read something when it's you could just sit and watch it? Because I'm like Rome said, people's attention spans are incredibly short when it comes to stuff like that. You rather sit and watch something, especially if you can play in the background, you can hear the audio. You don't have to dedicate time and focus on it right in front of you. And then two, the era of shonen kind of dominated a lot. Um, we only just now, at least for me personally, we're only just now getting kind of out of that shonen age group where we're not really focused on, okay, well, what's coming out that's big and flashy like a Dragon Ball Z, a Jujutsu Kaisen, a Demon Slayer. And like once I kind of got past shonen and I started like looking into other genres like seinen or shojo or whatever it may have you, that's when I kind of started noticing like, yo, it's a lot of dope stuff out here that is very similar to other things, but unless it's pushed to the mainstream or in like a Viz or a Shonen Jump, you're just not going to find it because a lot of people don't have access to it. And especially when it comes to manga, if it's not on one of those well-known platforms, you have to go find another medium like a Manganello, a Manganado. Like if it's not an app that you can download that's big, a lot of times you just won't be able to find it, especially when it comes to webtoons and stuff of that nature.
I would say this leak on the idea of like apps that are like not really big. If you download My Any List, that's a really good place to find a lot of like other manga that are similar to like one that you might read. It's like you might type like a villain saga, you might find other manga in that similar vein or genre that you might find that they'll recommend to you. And I love that about My Any List because that's how I found out a lot of other series I've been trying to check out and I've trying to broaden my scope. And that My Any List is a great way to like keep track of not just keep track of anime, but keep track of manga that you might be interested in reading. And I feel like that's one thing people need to get more involved in. It's like, checking out like these apps, like, keeping track of like, what's out there. Not just think to like the Shonen Jump, yes, but they're not gonna recommend to you like, what else is out there. They're gonna recommend what's on their app. But if you want to see like all the things that are not on the app and not mainstream, then definitely check out My Any List. Just searching one manga will definitely be a great way to like, put you on something else that you're not even familiar with.
Uh, so for Cuzzo, who's our casual anime fan in the motherfucking building, I'm definitely curious that as a casual fan, is it easy for like you to overlook series? Do you feel like the mainstream is really like as deep as you get or that you care to get? Or are you looking for like lesser known series? Like how does that work for you?
It really depends on what I'm doing with my life. So currently, I'm playing lots of video games. Like my time, like that I would want to watch or dedicate to anime and manga is lower. But like when I'm deep in my bag, like when I was in probably 2021, and I wanted to watch anime and read manga, like I crave those things. So it just depends on where I'm at. So currently, like Roman brought up Astro Lost in Space. I remember hearing about that and I was like, all right, sounds cool. I might get to it. But now that he brought it back up again, I'm like, I'm actually more intrigued about it. I wanna I wanna actually watch that now just because he brought it back up. And so it's like it might have to be repeated to me because like, once it gets a stamp from somebody I respect, okay, I'm even more inclined. And it's been like he's bringing back up after years. It's not like, oh, this is fire right now. This has stayed with him apparently, and he's bringing back up as like, yo, this is a show that's been overlooked. So for me, it's really I pay attention to what's hot right now, what I'm interested in. So like currently, it's Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm ready for season 2. Can't wait for that. One Piece is always going to be there until it finishes. Um, some shows I've watched have fallen off, but other things like Vinland Saga for me, which uh,
Peak.
it was
Peak.
really season 1 was so good, but like season 2 is such a departure from what season 1 was. But like I'm watching off the strength of season 1, and like I know people who are speaking highly of it, that like it keeps me there. But also like the story is so fucking good that I don't mind that it's not like action based right now. It's a much slower vibe.
Real quick, not to get too side off, but like, how do you feel about this new season? Because a lot of people are hating it, and they're saying that they want the old thing back. How do you feel about it, Warren? Are you a fan?
Oh, I'm a fan, just off the strength of like
Leak, I know the
it's
hinting is
it's a
going.
good story. Well, Leaks hating on it.
He's hating,
No, I'm
and
not. I'm not hating on it. It's just, mind you, I read it. I'm week to week. I don't care for this season to watch it.
Oh, because you already read it.
It's
Yes,
not that I already read it. It's just not intriguing enough for me to watch.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fair.
You didn't like this even when you read the manga. You didn't like this
I
phase
think
that
it
we in right
read
now.
better than watching it.
Okay,
I have
that's
now.
fair.
Admittedly, I haven't watched it yet, so I really couldn't tell you the difference. But this was one of my. I loved it when the manga transitioned right here. Like it was beautiful. It was perfect to me. Like the art was on point, the storytelling was on point, everything was there. It's like we built Thorfinn's character, but I don't know how the anime has been. I couldn't even tell you.
It's been great. Honestly, like
Yeah.
the story to me is there, but also yeah, I haven't read it, so like the pacing with manga is always different. But like I'm enjoying just from the fact that it's such a departure, and you can see there's so much growth there and so much to unpack. So it's almost like a therapy session for him, and
Mhm.
you're seeing him have the nightmares and everything. You know, I guess minor spoilers, but
That PTSD.
yeah, you're seeing him
Yeah.
deal with his trauma from season 1 and how he's grown and how he wants to deal with that and how he's trying to turn a new leaf and be a different man. And I can respect that because I'm at a point where I've made a big transition in my life. I just proposed to my now hold on, my now fiance. I had to get it right. um
Congratulations.
so it's like, so I can just as a man, I respect how he's transitioning his life, and I just appreciate how it's a huge departure. So I get people might not be as welcoming to that change, or they might not be as ready for that new like maturity aspect that it's giving now.
I feel that. I think that also speaks to Leek's point about kind of like the how story can like lead manga, but also I think like Villain Saga is an interesting one because it's a seinen. And it at first I didn't feel like it was that popular. Like season 1, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't feel like season 1 got the accolades or the awards that it should have got in the grand scheme of things. And it wasn't until afterwards everybody just started getting into Villain Saga before season 2, like in between the two seasons. And what ended up happening was everyone loved it because the characters like Thorkill and
Mhm.
Askeladd and the action and everything that was happening, the drama. And I really think those people grafted onto Villain Saga for some of the wrong reasons, in my opinion. Not just the storytelling.
Yes.
And now that we've transitioned into a more like character driven, background building type arc, I think that's why it's getting the hate that it's getting because it became popular in the shonen realms, but they aren't consuming the story for the same reasons that we consume a story.
I would
And that can
agree.
be problematic
Yeah.
sometimes.
I'll definitely agree on that point because I get definitely a lot of people keep asking like when's it gonna go back to like the old Thorfinn. I'm like, but why you not looking for that what we have here? We have a Thorfinn that's mean kids going through captive dealing with that trauma, but all they want is that action. They just want that shown an aspect of the anime back. They want the battle. They want the horses being punched in the air and shit. But like
That's what I was
that's good.
literally about to say. It's like it started as a shonen and transitioned to a seinen, and people lost interest.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's unfortunate
Yeah,
honestly because
but
it's a great series.
I would say like the how Eugene was saying, people watched it for the wrong reasons. Even in the beginning, the maturity aspects were all there. All the stuff that makes it sane, like for a more adult audience, so to speak. It was all there from how the father was trying to tell him how to teach him how to be a man and all those things. And it to me it was a little bit deeper than like the get the OG pops from a shonen, and it's not. It was just more in depth, and you got more of like the familial, nuclear family aspect and all that.
So is that the only reason like stories get overlooked is only because um it's a maybe a seinen out of shonen doesn't have that hype factor? Or are we also overlooking stories because maybe the art isn't what you look for in art? Like it's not a it doesn't look like the typical anime. It looks like something that's like, oh, I wouldn't like that shit. Maybe like an Odd Taxi. When people first saw Odd Taxi, they was like, what is this shit? Like, what am I looking at? Or
Uh,
even I even heard some people say that about Ranking the Kings. When they
Mhm.
first
I
saw
was
Ranking the
literally
Kings,
about to say that. That shit turned me completely off when I first tried to watch it.
the
Honestly,
The
that's
animation.
why I
story is
haven't watched it yet, cuz
yes, the
It
story is
looked
the
like a
only reason
storybook.
I kept watching.
because you said told me I would love it, but I was like, when I saw the character and I saw like kind of the art style, it was hard for me to get behind it. And like I was like, well, I'm gonna put this on the back burner. I'll find it if I come back to it. I still haven't came back to it yet. But like everyone I know, they spoke highly of Boji and all that stuff. And you like, yo, Boji's my man's. And I'm just like, maybe it's ableist, I guess, but I was like, I just can't get behind it right now. You know where I'm at, I just couldn't do it. And I just haven't found time to go back to it.
I don't think that's ableist. Don't even put that on your jacket, bro. You just like you don't like the animation. Don't label yourself as ableist.
I mean, I'm not, but I'm just like, I know a little bit about Boji. It's like some of that stuff just kind of turned me off because that's not what I wanted from a main character at the time. You know?
Also because he's short,
Yeah, like
and
Or
some of that
because he
you
stuff
has to
is
can't.
like,
talk.
You might be heightist.
hey, it's kind of hard to say I'm less than 6 foot. I'm 5'10", you know, like
I mean that's also like a side effect of like being shonen heavy. Like you expect
yeah,
the main character to be 16 and be like 7 feet tall, all muscle.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
Boji is not that. I
He's
think
not that.
Boji, Kotaro, and Anya from their respective series of like Spy Family, Kotaro Lives Alone, and Ranking the Kings. They all special in that little time frame because they're like people you really identify with and want to protect as children. But they
Mm,
all like self sufficient and they can take care of themselves. So they still have like those shonen traits that like you used to seeing, but they come in different packages. And I found all those characters interesting. I do what I took from that conversation when we had it though, Cuzzo, was like it's something that I'm never conscious of when I'm talking to anime fans. It's something I always think about when I talk to non-anime fans about the aspect of animation, and animation is not for everyone.
oh
So
yeah,
when I'm talking
definitely.
to someone that's not into animation as a whole, I'm very conscious about what I put them on and what I ask them to watch because I want to make sure it's something that they can like jump into and appreciate and like. But when it comes to anime fans, I don't really think about that shit. Like I think you like anime, so you like all forms of animation, and it never crosses my mind that it could be an animation that could turn off an anime fan. Like I don't even think about that, and you kind of brought that to the front of my mind.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like some bad CGI.
even look at when I started watching JoJo, right? And we got to season 4, and like I wasn't. It's such a departure from season 3 because season 3 is more vibrant colors, and season 4 is kind of more of that pastelly tone. And like I just didn't, almost didn't care for it because it was such a change. But I like poppy, vibrant colors, and season 4 is beautifully drawn. But the green sky turned me off a little bit. It really did. But like it fits. Going back, it fits the scene. It fits the show. It fits how it's drawn, and it makes sense. But like, if you're not into that, it's like, yeah, it's award winning, but like, that's not my flavor of art for the week.
I'll be honest, like that color palette actually made it a little bit better for me. In that part 4, because like I thought the color palettes were a really great, like aspect of the show, like incorporate more like the emotional feel of like what these characters are feeling. Because like you might see someone who's angry and then you get like that color palette, like that red or that purple or that green. But like in the first 3 parts, they were just like they were just going through the motions. But like I think Iraqi really got in his bag was trying to like differentiate like the type of like JoJo that we
Yeah.
have now with this like Josuke. He was more like he was a high school teenager, right? So I feel like he would be more emotional and be going through a lot more. So things would be more animated for him than the other JoJos who are more grown or more adultish. So I could feel like that's how I view the point. At least that's how I view JoJo. Like when they switch up that color back. Oh, we didn't get it in part 5, as you can see. We only got it in part 4. When he did the color palette. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was just him just trying to identify, like, differentiate between, like, Josuke compared to the other JoJo's. Like, he was just more, like, more animated and he saw the world differently.
Leak definitely
I just,
overlooks
I just,
JoJo
I
because
distinctly
Absolutely.
remember. I distinctly remember when I started watching part 4, slandering the shit out of Hollywood.
Every time.
I distinctly remember that
I,
shit too.
I absolutely hated it.
I
I
could not
hated
believe
how
that you
part
hate.
4
Like
looked.
I just knew you was gonna love part 4 because like our thoughts had mirrored each other for so long, and the way we felt about JoJo. And then when I got to part 4, I was like, "This is it, bro." And I just knew you was gonna love it too. When you got to part 4, it was like, "Yo, I don't fuck with this at all." Like I
I hated
I was
part
like,
4.
"Huh?"
I
Yeah.
remember why. I remember trying to go through. I'm like, I remember distinctly telling you, Glenn, like, why does this shit look like this? Like, I hate this. And then trying to watch it, me feeling like it's so much just randomness that has nothing to do with anything. I was like, bro, watching this shit. And then you finally get to a part where I felt like it finally mattered, like what was going on. And I was like, bro, I just watched like 20 episodes of bullshit. For you to be like, oh, but that one thing in that one episode
Yeah,
really broke my
Ah,
God,
feel
dude.
no,
you.
it's not
I
even
feel
like
you.
that,
No,
bro.
wait,
It's
no,
not
he was
even
building
like that,
up.
bro.
They were literally
I'm like, are
building
you
up the
fucking
arc. They were
serious?
building it up.
No,
I'm
because
like, bro, no, that had nothing to do with this shit. I'm
It
like,
all
nah,
was
bro.
connected. What do you mean? It was all
Bull
part of. It was
shit.
all.
It was all
It was all
connected.
to
Some of that
show you
shit
what a
did
normal
not
life would
matter.
look like, and then we're gonna
Nah.
get Kira with his abnormal life.
yeah,
Was
but
that
like,
that was the same part where Buddy got turned into a rock or some shit, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
bro.
so? What the
Yeah,
It's a
fuck did that
bizarre
have to do with
story. Like,
anything?
literally
Oh
oh
my
my god.
god,
bizarro.
that was such. I
It
can't
it,
get
sa-
that
it sounds
time of
like you
my life
niggas is
back.
taught in realism. So we
Yeah,
got
Mm.
we got
I guess so.
we got the hype beast factor that'll make stories get overlooked. We have animation slash like the art style. Niggas is not liking the pastel aspect of it.
Or even some bad CGI, because that would definitely turn me off. Absolutely.
CGI turns you off.
Yeah, like when it's done by like X Arm, no, no. And honestly, I'm gonna be no shade to you, League, but when I was trying to watch Kingdom, that CGI in the first season, I couldn't get
But I
past it.
said
don't
no, you
watch
can't.
Kingdom,
Don't
bro.
watch any
Don't
kingdom. Don't
watch
watch any
Kingdom.
of
You have to
Kingdom
read it.
at all.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to read
that
Kingdom.
and
I
that's
tried
literally
to
what it
watch the
what made me
Kingdom. I was
realize.
like, this is the most disgusting, nasty looking shit I've ever
Don't
seen.
watch Kingdom.
How could you
Yeah,
do something like this to such a great elite story?
Same thing with Berserk. Like they told me, so I
oh yeah,
watched the trilogy, the Golden Age arc trilogy. But
hmm
outside of that, like they was like, don't even watch the rest of that anime shit. And I did not listen to people. Turned on the anime and tried to watch that shit. It was nasty work. I couldn't believe that they even got the green light on that shit.
But I got one thing for you, cuz it's on the same vein. So it's from when you transition from manga to anime. So for example, my example is One Punch Man. As a, I was anime only for a while. And so I enjoyed season 2, but everyone who read first, like, no, that's dog water, it's garbage, I don't like it. And like, because I knew no better, like, I was like, oh, this was lit. It was great to me. But like, I read it, I was like, okay, I see what they're talking about. But I feel like that, like, downvoting it, so to speak, didn't help the show like progress the anime, in my opinion. And so I think that's a big factor. It's like, you can call it manga elitism if you want to,
definitely leadism.
but like that also doesn't necessarily help. I was gonna shout out One Punch Man as like an anime that kind of gets overlooked for season 2 specifically. Season 1 everyone loved because the animation was great, and like they're like, oh, but you look at this page, this one drawing in the panel, and it looks beautiful, but it's not animated, bro. It's a still. Like,
Hey, but I'm be honest though, Yusuke Murata is a god when it comes to that pen. So like, trying to compare his art style with the animation can be kind of hard because like he does a lot of crazy like imagery with his pen. It's like how can you even adapt that into anime and it still look good? What he's doing is like art. He's literally doing like works of art like you'd find in a museum. But
When
like,
you put it that way, it makes it seem like we was on some My Hero Academia type shit with One Punch Man, and it wasn't quite that. Like it wasn't like we were stickling that the anime had to look exactly like what Murata's putting out. At least, and I can speak for me. My main issues with season 2 were the how certain parts of the story were cut. So
mm-hmm.
like when it came to like Metal Bed and the gravity of like what he went through with the centipede. Was it the centipede? I
Yeah.
forgot the actual name, but with the centipede and shit. Um that I think that was cut poorly in the anime. Like I didn't think that hype translated the same way it was in the manga as it came across in the anime, and I didn't understand why they chose to cut it that way. When it came to the demon bird crashing into Saitama's building and like destroying that building, the actual scale of the demon versus the building was different in the manga. So I just think certain things didn't have the same effect in the anime that they had in the manga. It wasn't that the art had to be exactly the same. It was just like the impact and the gravity of situations didn't translate well, and I think that's what they missed, and that's what manga fans were upset about.
I mean,
Uh,
fair.
to transition back to the actual conversation, um, has anyone like ever been turned off or overlooked a story, or feel like a story goes overlooked because of either its genre or like even the intro, even something as silly as like the intro? Or if you're a manga reader, has art style ever turned you off at all?
Absolutely. If you start at the beginning of Kingdom to where it is now, like obviously, you get better with drawing as time goes on. But if you start at the beginning and you was like, this is what you're talking about, you look at the art style, you're like, bro, I don't want to read this. like at all. But I think a lot of that just comes with as time goes on, mangaka improve or just change the quality of their art. So I think you can notice that a lot in most long running series. The series doesn't look the same as when it started to where it is now. I'm not saying it always starts off bad, but certain you might develop certain quirks. You might not like how you drew this a long time ago. You might make it more crisp. Like that's just how it goes with evolving as an artist. But when it comes to like this in general art style, I generally try to give stuff a chance unless it just has to be terrible art where it's like it's hard to understand what's going on. Prime example, trying to read JoJo's, impossible for me. Tried it. When I first started part one, I'm like, this is the most ridiculous show I've ever seen. It's terrible. They're like, oh no, just keep going. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to read it. I tried reading part, I think 3. And I'm looking at the page and I'm like, yeah, nah, this is not going to happen. Tried to look at part 4. I'm like, yeah, absolutely not. This is not even possible to try to read this shit. So I don't have a choice but to watch it. And that's how, honestly, how I felt about JoJo. It's like, I would much rather read it than watch it. Because I feel like I could at least understand. For me, I understand things better when I read it on the page because I can go back and just re-go over it. Maybe go back to the previous page if I don't understand something. And that's how it makes it easier for me to digest media. But JoJo's, it honestly seemed incomprehensible trying to digest JoJo's as a manga as opposed to watching it. Plus, given the type of anime that it is, like dealing with stand, it's hard to convey a stand in manga. So there's that also working against it. So stuff like that can stop. Like if you try to start a manga, you don't understand what's going on. The odds of you trying to wait for the anime to come out, you might not even give it a chance because you didn't understand what was going on in the manga or it didn't make sense to you.
We got supernovas and members of the community that fucking stand by, like they understand JoJo's through and through when they read the stands, and I can never get behind that, bro. Like
Part 5.
part 5,
I don't know how you
like
draw that.
Diavolo and Dobio, like how do you even explain that nigga stand that make it make sense? I didn't read part 5. I do have part 4. I caught part 4 from a convention. And I even like reading through that and looking through that, I'm kind of like, bro, I would have been reading this and not imagining that these stands are doing the same thing that they're actually doing in the animation. Like it would not have made sense to me. And I think animation is necessary sometimes to bring a story to life or bring the writing to life. A time that animation really shot a story in the foot for me, though, we talked about One Punch Man, and a story I definitely would have overlooked, and it's a banger, is Record of Ragnarok. So I watched that on
100%.
Netflix, and Master D talked about this shit endlessly. Like, if we go back and play old episodes, he wouldn't shut up about Record
I
of
would
Ragnarok.
say I was a manga reader first. That's all I'm saying.
And so, like this was like the Master D recommendation of all recommendations. I could not wait to go watch this shit on Netflix. And I sat down and started watching it, and I was like, "Oh, bro, I can never take a recommendation from Master D ever again, bro. Like he's smoked in my book. It's over with."
Damn.
That and it was things I really liked about it. Like I still stand on the storybook animation and the way they did it. If they would have made that kind of be the animation for how they did backstories on the characters, I'm totally okay with that. When it came to the fights had to be fluid animation, like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z type like animation, so that we really got that cool factor. And it wasn't executed well. For a while, I was like, man, fuck that story. That shit weak as hell. And I actually went back. I can't remember if it was Master D over someone else that sent me the actual link and was like, just read a chapter or two. So, like, I read a couple chapters, like, hey, this shit actually fire. But, like, I would have never watched again if it was just the animated I was dependent on. And that shit would have just been a undiscovered gem that just went under the radar for my entire life, probably. Yeah. Sound design is also a thing that will, like, fuck me up and turn me off. There's this, it's a heavy, since we're on the topic of Netflix, and it's also fuck Netflix because they locked me out the account because it's not my account, and I was
word.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. It's like, is this your home network?
Damn.
And I'm like,
but wait, can't they give you? Can't they like
take your IP address and shit like that?
Yeah,
No.
so
Because Netflix asked me the other day if I wanted to like add someone onto my account as like
But
an additional person. But I
you
think I had to
gotta
pay
but
for
you got to
it.
pay
Yeah.
for that. You got to pay like the $7.99 or $8.99 or something for
To
that. And
have another person on my
Yeah,
yeah, because
bro. They want their
it's
bread.
dumb, bro. So it's definitely like we not finna download it and re-get it. Like it's not enough on Netflix to make us want to do that. Like it's not a big deal to us. But they had an anime on there and I forgot the name of it, but it was like a heavy metal rock musical type anime.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Fuck, what's the name of it? I know exactly what you're talking about though.
It just wasn't for me. I made it through just the music and shit. It's just not what I'm looking for in like a project. And I made it through like half an episode. I was like, I gotta
Bastard.
go, bro.
Bastard. That's what's
Bastard is the name of it.
So the
I,
music wasn't good, or like just
no.
the overall.
just one is not. It's like heavy metal rock type shit. It's not the type of music I go for
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I
regularly.
do. I
But it also, I'm not in that. I wasn't in a space where like that's what I wanted to consume, like something new in that
Okay.
way. Like I wasn't at all. So I was just like, I'm gone. But I did see people talking about it heavily and saying how good it was. And for me, like, it don't matter if that's good or not. Like I probably won't ever go back to that.
You said it's called Bastard.
yeah.
Bastard.
On the
Oh,
top of the
that's
sound
what-
design, on top of the sound design, GB, I would agree. Like for me, I did enjoy the sound, like the music aspect of the anime. The anime itself, though, not so good. It's the story's pretty like repetitive and pretty like not as appealing as I wanted it to be. But the sound design did like they definitely were trying to throw in like the heavy metal aspect of it, and like it was good. I did enjoy how they incorporated the heavy metal.
Mhm.
Like I like the song because I'm a heavy metal fan, so like I fucked with it. Like when you're transforming, like having a big battle scene. But the story itself was just not there, and that kind of really ruined it for me. It made me really not want to go back to that. And I'm amazed that it's getting renewed. It has about season 2 now coming out, season 2.5 or whatever. And I'm confused because I'm like, who keeps watching this shit? But it's very etchy too. So I feel like that's what's really keeping the audience there. So I just can't get back to it. Um, but on the topic, just to go back on what you said about anime that really let you down to like something for a bad animation. Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh
I-
yeah, yeah.
And
See, I don't think they get overlooked. I just think they had a bad season.
Yeah, they did.
That's
and
fair.
and that no, that's what I was going to point out that like how the season itself was just so bad that from like animation quality, like they don't get overlooked, but like it's one of those series like they could have did so much better, but like because they were doing a good job in the first few seasons, but like then when they came with that I think it was season 5, season 6, and the animation was just so poor quality. I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? Like this was like a pretty popular anime. I think that would definitely like drop it under the radar and make them become overshadowed in a sense because the animation quality dropped down and that would make them people not want to care about it. Because the manga here is pretty good, but like that animation quality definitely probably
The
downgraded
manga
for
did the
me.
same thing.
It did.
It did.
Oh,
Yeah, the manga definitely fell off. And really
Yeah,
for
the manga
me,
fell off really,
that
really
shit was so
hard.
promising. But the fall started, it got progressively worse. Like it sped up. The drop
Yeah.
sped up over
Yeah,
time.
damn.
But it
was
started
like-
when they
Is
introduced
that
power
the
levels.
episode where I talked about on AD when I said it was a precipitous fall? I think I said
Yeah,
that on AD,
precipitous
it was a
fall.
precipitous decline.
Yeah, but it started for me. And I was actually hyping like Seven Deadly Sins to begin, but then they introduced power levels, and
Oh yeah.
like from the moment they introduced power levels, I was kind of turned off. But I was like, all right, let's see where it goes. And once they introduced the power levels, that shit got worse and worse.
They never even fully explained how the power levels even work. Like, how do these niggas get power levels? How did they just keep growing and growing, and then to only have one character who can even display it? So it's like,
It got worse and worse, bro. That was such a bad choice. And then the precipitous fall off that happened after that was ridiculous, bro. That shit was straight downhill.
And by the
Honestly,
end of the
that's one
story,
where-
it didn't even make sense.
would you
Oh,
say
bad?
it's devastating?
Definitely.
Put it like this: it got so bad, I dropped it, and it only had a handful of chapters left.
Oh,
Damn.
I would have. You didn't push through for like just to.
Like I didn't even
through?
want to finish it. It literally was at the end of the story. It couldn't have been more than 10 chapters left, and I'm like, I'm not reading this shit anymore.
I didn't make it as far as like I stopped with like 35-ish chapters left and was like, I can't do it no more. Like I ain't got it in me.
I was really vibing with that,
Yeah.
and then when everyone slandered the season 3, I think with the animation, I was like, I just said, all right, I'm not gonna watch it. Like,
No,
I'm
it
not gonna watch
really just it fell apart, bro.
That's-
And I think the animators, like maybe that's why they did so bad in those later seasons, because maybe they wasn't fucking with the show either. It was just like, you get what we get.
Just like you're
Yeah.
just gonna throw something out there.
Did they finish the anime at all, or is it just like
They have a movie coming out, I think. So they're still trying to pump out animation stuff, but like I don't know what they're trying to do now though. Like 'cause I don't think it's even related to the current storyline. I think it's like, or maybe it's a continuation. I don't even know. I haven't caught up with like some of them since in a while. I just remember like that fall off, and I was like, well, goodbye. I'll
Let
see you
me
never.
let me get last comments on this topic real quick. So we covered animation, we covered the kind of the hype beast model, the matrix of like this shit is just hype and it covers up other things. It seems like sound design could turn people off. The actual like art around it via JoJo's, according to leak.
Boo.
Is there anything else that we missed that will
Mm,
kind of like make you overlook a series or not take it seriously? It can make the masses like overlook something.
I don't know if this is even technically related, but I don't know if y'all ever watched Dora Hidoro.
no?
It was a very not I wouldn't say cringe, but it was a very out there series. Like the art style was pretty like kind of graphic. It was kind of like gritty. It wasn't like as smooth as a lot of other anime were. But for me, I feel like that was one of those overlooked series because I feel like I did enjoy that a lot. It was very fun. There were some fun cast of characters, but the story itself was like not pretty like deep in itself. It's just a guy with a lizard head who's trying to get his head back from this underworld type city. But the animation though, it definitely kind of was kind of not what I was used to. And I feel like that just seeing like just the way that they promoted it, it can definitely like turn off a lot of people. They probably didn't want to see no anime about a lizard guy with a lizard head, but it was a good, decent anime. I've actually been trying to actually pick up another manga by the same artist, by the same mangaka, called Day Dark, and it's funny because it's got the same type of art style. I'm like as an anime, I'm like, huh. So even this must be his form of like art. It's very like edgy and like it's not smooth lines. It's very like unorthodox in my opinion. But that's how I feel like a promo is another way to like really for an anime to like not get like the hype that it deserves, like the promotion aspect. People not me to promote it, not people might not even care about it, but like a walkout is definitely what you want to focus on when it comes to like an anime because you don't want an anime that's gonna like you don't want to promote it properly because if you don't, then people are not gonna care about it. I'm trying to think of an anime because I think there was one anime that didn't get promoted enough and it was totally overlooked. Um, it was a Netflix anime too. I can't even remember the name of it right now.
What- Nothing on Netflix gets promoted or streaming
Y-
services in general. Like we don't
Yeah,
have a good marketing promotion thing for streaming as a whole. I think even though HBO and Paramount are probably HBO is definitely one of my least favorite apps and like how it functions and how it works. But I
Oh, the
think that
for
they
you
do
it's
like
try
it's,
to
it's
That is
Max
glitchy
now,
in
bro.
it.
It's Max now, and
Uh-uh.
it's still trash.
well Max, whatever you want to call it, like is one of my least favorite apps and how it works. I don't like I think they try. Probably the best I've seen in sense of like promotions has been Stars and how like they promote in app and run promotions before the start of an
okay,
episode.
yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that works for me, but like overall, you never know when a new season or some shit is coming out. Like you would just get on there one day and be like, "Damn, season 3 and 4 dropped of this shit. I never knew."
You're right.
Unless you like
Um,
follow it religiously, no, you
yeah,
won't know.
but
Yeah.
also I think promotion falls into like the hype beast category that we started with. Just if people ain't hyping it up, then it's just really not getting that shine. And if they are hyping something up, it can overshine other things that are out at the same time and not really get looked at. So with that being said, we finna transition segments real quick. I think we got a hotline call from my boy Master D. You got an introduction you want to do? Make this shit official, or should I just play the sound effect for you?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think of it, but we can definitely do a little intro. This is a hotline I got call received from this anime called Dororo. They were calling. They had some issues. They had some qualm that they wanted to get off their chest. They had some issues with another anime. They felt like they were being overshadowed. So this is the call. I think it went pretty great. I hope that they can find a way to come out of the shadows because I think it's a really great anime. So run the clip. Hello, West Mission Hotline. This is Master D speaking. How may I help you?
Hello? Yes, this is Dororo from the Dororo anime. This is HR, right?
Yes, it is. What seems to be the problem today?
Well, it's those damn Demon Slayer corpse. They're taking away all our demons. And I know we have similar storylines of hunting demons and whatever, but unlike this flashy swordsman who's trying to fight a smooth criminal, we're fighting to get Hyakkimaru's body back. And we can't do that if these damn corporate slayers stealing all our prey.
Ah, I see. That does sound like a problem for sure. Sorry for you with those mainstream anime characters. It can be annoying. They do tend to take the shine away from like similar anime, but are even better. But we're not gonna talk about that.
See? You get it. And so do whatever you can do. I need them to go stay in their own lane.
I'm the strongest. I can take you down single-handedly, demon.
Yes, I can definitely draft up an agreement that can designate some boundaries for both of you, so neither one of you is overshadowing the other one. Give me about a week and I can draft something up for you.
That sounds perfect. Hear that, Yakimaru? We're gonna draw up some borders, and we're gonna keep those losers away.
Loser? Who are you calling loser, little girl?
What? I'm a boy. Well, I'm a girl. Who cares, loser? You have a boar head on.
Okay, it sounds like there's a lot going on in your background there. I will definitely
Don't
contact the
worry
opposing
about it,
party for you,
Kentaro.
and
I
I will
got this.
contact you as well, and we can set up a mediation day, and we can figure
Whatever.
this out, okay?
Awesome. Can't wait. And please, get them out of our light.
Will do.
Kagura! Flame dance!
No!
Love that outro.
I'm a forever love the way that the hotlines go out. The outro
Yeah.
go crazy.
Goes crazy.
Check that tankle out.
Mm.
What made you choose Dororo and Demon Slayer?
For me, I feel like Dororo and Demon Slayer, this I said earlier in the pod, like they have similar like plot lines where they're fighting demons, like in the Edo pair, like in a Japanese style, like where they're like a bit back in the time, so it's not like similar time periods. And I feel like the story progresses in a way that Tanjiro is trying to fight demons, like to save his sister, but Dororo or Yakimaru is trying to fight just so he can get his body back. So I feel like Dororo has a deeper plot line as opposed to Tanjiro. I'm not saying that I'm trying to take away from Tanjiro and his sister, but I feel like Dororo had a deeper, like emotional plot line that people were kind of like overlooking and didn't really care about, because like I feel like it was a really great story. It was emotional, it was impactful, but because it wasn't as like flashy, or it wasn't as like so straight to the action point, like we had a lot of slow moments, a lot of like development of like the actual character. It took away from like what people wanted. They wanted more the action packed Demon Slayer aspect of like the flashy fights, the sword play and all that stuff. We didn't get any of that with Dororo. It was just straight up like this is the story. He's a guy who lost his body because he was tortured. He was I guess given up as a child. All of his organs and all of his skin also was given up a child just so his family can be can be brought to fame. And I enjoyed that. I love the anime, but I feel like Demon Slayer was totally outshined it. Like no one even talked about it. I didn't think anyone really mentioned it on the time that when it first came out. So I think it was definitely one of those like overlooked anime for me.
I hate to this day that Leak called Demon Slayer.
Was that one
He
also
called
on
it.
Prime?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was on Amazon Prime, yeah. And that's another thing too. It was on Prime. No one even knew anime was on
You don't-
Prime at
yeah.
that point.
I think that might factor into getting overlooked too.
Yeah,
It's platform.
Yes.
yeah. Because I don't think anyone even knew about anime on Prime at that point. I didn't even know Prime even had anime. I still don't even know. Like a lot of anime on
You know
there
they got
now-
anime because Vinland Saga is on there, and
It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix,
That's
Yeah.
so it doesn't even show on Prime anymore. It's on Netflix.
I don't even
I'm
know.
not sure.
Week to
I
week
just
on
know
that?
season 2 came out on Prime. I've been on Netflix and I've been watching it there because it's a little bit easier for me to access to.
Oh, that's trash. So I probably won't be watching season 2.
Hey, nah, don't do that. No, it's pretty good. But I don't know, 'cause I haven't even been on Prime in a while. But I do know they changed up their actual layout, and now it looks a lot like the freaking what's it called? Like Netflix layout. That's what I realized a lot of these platforms are doing now. They're trying to switch up their layout now to emulate Netflix's layout. But it's like you scroll down, you get everything on the screen, just scroll across. It's all similar now, but like they don't do a good job of helping you to find the media, find what you need to find. Like it's just in this promo and everything. Like especially on
Yeah.
Prime, they don't do a good job. Like showing like, okay, this way you can find anime, this way you can find action. It's just okay. We're gonna tell you this is what you should watch. This is what you should be watching. This is based on your Prime reviews or something like that. But like, it definitely did needed its own shine. Like I feel like it was came out like a bigger platform like Crunchyroll. It would have been got more shine.
Facts. Um, so let's go ahead and transition into the next part of this conversation. I hope that everybody brought like a slight list of anime, manga, stories, series in general that you felt are like overlooked or overshadowed. Um, and let's talk about that. We can go one at a time, or we can just go in general. I guess I could start since we already talked about Astro Lost in Space, and I put Fire Force in that category, just being overshadowed by the hype of 2019 in general. Another one I kind of think falls to the background, and I think that if the fandom of the popular anime would get into this less popular one, they would really love this shit. Um, but Tiger and Bunny is like a mech style anime that's on.
Oh, it's
It
not.
was on Netflix,
Oh, it's not
and
there
it,
anymore. Damn.
I don't know what platform it's on still.
I seen it on Netflix.
Yeah, well,
Never
I'm
heard of
saying
it.
it was because I can't confirm because I'm not on Netflix right now. We beefing. It is
Damn.
what it is. But Tiger and Bunny was one that had some of the similar aspects of My Hero Academia, where like people were in school, they're growing like through that training aspect. Uh, I think the aspect of like heroes versus the villains and kind of like the superpowers and everything that goes into that is similar to My Hero, and I think the things that make My Hero great also exist in Tiger and Bunny, but it's overlooked because Tiger and Bunny never hit like that platform to attract the My Hero Academia fandom there. But it's really a great show. It's a great series. I think they have and one thing that it didn't suffer from, that I feel My Hero suffers from, is kind of like the peaks. My Hero has a lot of highs, but I think like it also has a lot of lows where like the writing isn't as good. Um, Tiger and Bunny don't have the same level of highs that My Hero Academia has. Like if My Hero is hitting like nines on their highs, I would think like Tiger and Bunny are hitting like 7.58, for instance, on their highs. But it's consistent. Their range is like from 6.5 to like 8. Whereas My Hero, I think, is going from like 4 to like 9. Like it's parts of My Hero that I'm like, how did the same mangaka even put this together? Like why are we here in this part of the story? So I think that Tiger and Bunny has shown me a little bit more consistency, and I think it would appeal to the same audience, for the same reasons that My Hero appeal. And but it gets overlooked in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. For me, the one I had was I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this, but Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. It's like a fantasy comedy anime. It came out around 2019, but it also was competing with Food Wars and like Sword Art Online. So like those two were pretty popular around the time, so they were definitely overshadowed. But what I feel like this anime did it like well was like it switched up the whole aspect of like a school setting, like so, like a lot of anime always surrounded like high school, but in this one the main character is actually thrown into a school where it's filled with nothing but demons, and he has to navigate that whole system around like trying to pretend to be a demon and not let anyone find out he's actually a human being in this environment. And it also touched on that after that his family's trash, and he's basically just like suffering with all this like loneliness, feeling like he never actually experienced life because all of his life has been his parents putting in these very precarious situations of him having to work for them or do some job so they can do it. So he never actually had a life. So now when he's thrown into his demon school, now he's actually starting to actually be able to live and experience what it means to be a real life human being in a demon school, which is ironic in itself. But like I like the story because it was funny, and of course you're gonna get some magic powers, some like some nice animation, and the characters are really likable and great. I just been to I think like a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like, if I had known about it around the time, I would have watched it. But like, I was definitely watching Food Wars in 2019. Food Wars and Sword Art Online were definitely taking up my attention at that time. So it's very unfortunate, that it got overlooked. But I definitely feel like it was one of those anime that could have been like, more popular if people knew about it. But because of like, Sword Art Online or the Food Wars, it was gonna get overshadowed because everybody loves Food Wars. I love Food Wars. I'm excited for it, but like this was definitely a great watch. And what made it really great was like, as opposed to like not taking away from like like SOA or like Food Wars, but like it was consistent in the comedy aspect of it. Like it really was funny because it was comedy fantasy, and I realized I find myself tend to stick to a lot more action comedy based like genre. So this is my first time switching over to a different genre and focusing more like comedy and fantasy. and it really leaned in on that comedy aspect more than I thought it would. And I feel like I found myself enjoying that more because I've been trying to like find other genres that are out there, like trying genre mixes. 'Cause I realize that's one thing about anime; they mix a lot of genres together, but it's like, what's the right combination to make something really good? Is it an action comedy, or is it a slice of life comedy, or a slice of life fantasy comedy, whatever it may be? But this was a fantasy, and it's kind of, I would say, kind of slice of life because he was like, it was like this day in life or whatever, but like it definitely was enjoyable for me to watch. Binge it really quickly. So I feel like people are definitely Iruma Kun, Welcome to Demon School. Great anime on Crunchyroll.
Leak, Frankie.
I'm gonna always go back to this one because I feel it needs more recognition. And that's Ace of the Diamond. Just because in the sports
Diamond?
podcast world or sports anime world, like I don't hear about it unless I bring it up. I'm gonna say it like that. I always hear about Haikyuu and recently Blue Lock, which I've fucking enjoyed Blue Lock, the first season of it. But Ace of the Diamond for me is it. Like, I remember when we told Leak to start it, he's like, yo, this shit heat, man. I'm loving this. He started putting Samura like higher in his main character rankings. So
I think Samura in Leak's top 3 right now, if I remember correctly. I'm not quite sure, but I think like last time we did a top 3 of like main characters, I think he said the Samura is in his top 3.
Yeah,
he is a GOAT, bro.
Yeah. So for me, it's Ace of the Diamond. Like that's I personally put that higher than Haikyuu for myself.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
It's better.
I've been consistent wrong with this.
It's the best.
Ever since I watched it, it's the best sports anime.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I actually started Ace No Diamond a while back, and I couldn't get past episode 2, I think. But
I think
I will say I will go back and check it out because y'all keep praising it. Y'all keep saying it's so great, so I'm not gonna give up on it. I'm gonna watch it eventually.
It's got mad episodes, Rome. So
that's what it was. I think that's what returned me. Come back, damn. This is another One Piece binge I got looking forward to.
A mini One Piece, bro. Like it's got mad episodes, so you're gonna be sitting for a while, but it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, Samura definitely to go.
He's number 2 on my top.
Number 2? Oh shit! Wow.
He's 2.
Okay.
He to go, bro. And I think I want to know from you, Kozo, what makes it better than like Haikyuu to you?
Haikyuu.
See, one of my favorite parts about Haikyuu is the music, because the music is just like it's perfect for the scene. But like for Ace of the Diamond, it's like the story, like how they kind of, I guess because they have more episodes, I get a little bit more. And like I didn't read Haikyuu at all. So I wanted to just but I can also follow the baseball in the manga and in the anime. And in Haikyuu, I can't necessarily. It's harder for me to follow the tennis when I try to read it.
The tennis or the volleyball?
The volleyball. Wow, the tennis. The volleyball.
Is there a tennis anime?
Prince of Tennis is also goated.
It's very good, very good. That's one of my like throwbacks that people are surprised I've watched. But I just feel like I get a little bit more, and like Haikyuu's more about, I don't want to say the team aspect because it's both team sports, but like I get a little bit more into Sawamura, whereas I don't get that much into Hinata, and I'm just more connected to like the team of Haikyuu. Was like with Ace of the Diamond, it's so personal between like the rivalry between Sawamura and Furia, and
it's a real rivalry.
Let's go.
Haikyuu does not have a real rivalry.
No, you have like team rivalries, and I think like you bond with the team and the team story, but like you really get into like the characters of Ace No Diamond. And, like you see them one-on-one, you see their growth, and you see everything that's happening, and you see that at an individual level. You only really see that in Haikyuu has like the team aspect of it, and I think that's one reason why Ace of the Diamond is better. But also another reason, besides me just preferring baseball, is I love the fact that we're at a school that's in its prime.
Yes, it's not on a come up. It's like these are them. This is them, bro. Like these is niggas coming off hitting like walk-off home runs to end the game. Like this is them. I love the fact that we're at this school. And then like while Haikyuu, you're kind of like seeing them struggle against like growth. But like in Ace No Diamond, you're seeing them struggle to maintain a legacy, to maintain a dynasty. And I feel like I like that a lot more than I like the other aspect of it. So that's why I put those series above. Subtle difference. Like most shonens are like they're always in the come up. and they're growing power, so to speak. But in Ace of Diamonds, like he said, they're already at the peak of their power, so to speak. And it's like we got to maintain this. We have this legacy, and like they're one of the top schools in their district. You know, like they're perennial. Hey, either this school or that school is going to nationals, and that's it. And like we have the other schools, like we got to beat y'all back down because we them niggas. And we got to show y'all we them niggas.
Leak, what you got?
So the overshadowed series that I have is called Ridoku.
Okay.
It's a boxing manga. It actually recently just ended in May, honestly. But it went from 2014 to May of 2023. And it's very similar to Hajime no Ippo when it focuses on boxing, the technical aspect, but it is infinitely more dark in the undertones and the stuff that's outside of the ring. So like your main character was a abuse victim, and he literally had to fight to save his own life type shit. And he ended up learning from somebody who actually was a former boxer and now is a member of the Yakuza. So the person that actually helped save his life is a criminal. He's like not a good person at all. They don't like, so as far as I'm into it, they don't directly show him like doing too much, but it's heavily insinuated that he is like putting hands on people in alleys, like where the money at, like shit like that. And that's not something you really get from a Hajime no Ippo. The Hajime no Ippo, for me, for what I've got from it, it focuses more on the technical aspect of boxing, the different types of boxers that you can meet in the ring, whether it be a counter puncher, someone that focuses on power punches. Like you have that in this, but the balance between outside of the ring and in the ring is much more balanced in my opinion. So Rikudo, he has a love interest that he almost doesn't even know exists, but because he's so focused on I want to get this title that the dude that showed me how to fight got, that he literally has this girl that's right next to him that everybody else around him will tell is like madly in love with him, and he can't even realize it because he's so laser focused on what he's doing. With in contrast to a lot of sports anime, the main character, he don't.
Damn, did he freeze for you?
I think we lost Leak.
Yeah.
Damn, the way that he froze up.
You getting
Yeah.
his bag too? He was getting his bag.
Hold on, let me cut this camera off so we don't have to.
Right now, leave it up so we can slap you some more.
No,
I
bro,
don't-
we can't have Leak out here down bad.
I
No,
got
we
the
can't,
pictures.
bro.
No, bro, don't do that, bro. Not
No,
so-
I'm just joking.
Hit him
But
with
another one I'm gonna bring up is a Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress. So
yeah.
if anyone remembers that one, it's pretty much the clone of Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know which one was written first or how that all works. I discovered both of the anime at pretty much the same time. The stories are like extremely similar. They're like the same thing. Oh, well, Leak is back. Let him finish his thought.
Yeah. So very similar from the boxing aspect, but the way they part ways is, for one, Hajime no Ippo is incredibly long. It's been going on for I don't even know how long. I think it's over. I think it's longer than One Piece, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Whereas this had this kind of a short run. Yeah, it's still going. Hajime no Ippo is still going. And this, like I said, it started in 2014. Like dead smack in the middle of a huge shonen era where Attack on Titan is popping off. You got a lot of stuff that started, and it kind of went under the radar. And like I said, it's infinitely more dark on when it specializes outside of the ring of boxing. Like
damn.
I think we're also.
Leak just ain't got the connection, bro.
Nah, he need that Wi-Fi. I want to ask him though, cause like I'm thinking when he brought up boxing, I thought he was gonna compare to like Megalobox, cause I feel like Megalobox was a great anime too. Well, like Megalobox was a great anime too when it came out, and I know that it came out like after Hajime no Hippo, but I feel like I didn't hear much talk about like Megalobox. I feel like it was a great series, and the one that he mentioned I never heard of actually before, so now I kind of want to go back and check it out and see the comparison between that and Megalobox. 'Cause I feel like Megalobox is pretty dark in itself too. A very dark brooding like MC who's like got a troubled past. No one really knows about him, and he's just fighting for his life essentially, just so he can like get a next meal or like trying to like not even trying to fight for fame or trying to fight for like glory, but just trying to fight just to survive. And I like the aspect of like really down dirty like boxer who's just trying to like get it out of the mud. And but I do want to check out the one that he's mentioned. So when he comes back, I'm ask him. But that was a
Definitely.
good.
To
And I
transition back to you, Eugene, you've brought up that anime manga you a couple of times. What was it called again?
oh, Cabineria, the Iron Fortress.
Yeah, you brought it up again. It's like I've never heard of it, but I remember when you brought up the first time a while ago.
It's
Like,
pretty much the same thing as Attack on Titan.
yeah,
Like it's dystopian. You're in the city. Like the the instead of Titans is like demons or like these
I thought it
Kabane,
was zombies.
like
Maybe I was.
zombies, demons, whatever they are,
Yeah.
like Kabane. And then there's one that turns out to be like a hybrid, like a fusion, and it's like same thing. It looks the same. It feels the same. I think it's even written by the same person or done by the same production studio. I can't remember
Mm.
which one it was. I discovered them both at the same time, and that was my first thought was that like it's pretty much the same anime. Like this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think because of the hype that AOT had, Cabanera the Iron Fortress just never was able to kind of like catch his footing, and
okay.
they discontinued it rightfully so because like AOT is gas, like
Dominated that
so
shit.
dominated
is
and
it
went forward. But
is it manga still? Is it still like the manga still going? Or they finished the
I
manga?
even me myself, like I started to overlook it because I was
Okay.
an anime only for Attack on Titan, and when I didn't see any new episodes of Cabanera the Iron Fortress coming out, I just never went to go look for the manga or
Okay.
anything.
All right,
I stayed anime only for AOT until they pulled that final
Bro.
season bullshit. The first time they did it,
Bro,
and then I switched over to the manga and just never looked back.
bro,
So
what's
it like I could go back and try to find the manga at this point, but it was just that's one that I thought was like could have been really decent. Like depending on how the story wrote, it was just way too similar to AOT. I think to ever like really get a true foothold and grow.
I think it's like you said, a victim of its timing. If because AOT is about to wrap up. If this had came out, let's
is it
say
though?
next
Is it
year,
gonna wrap up?
Well, the manga
the
done.
manga's
I
done.
mean,
The manga done.
I don't know
the
about the anime, man.
the we
But
don't know when the anime gonna wrap up, but
even
like
still, like
in
let's
that
say
same
it come out next year or 2 years from now, because people have watched Attack on Titan and they're like, all right, this is similar. I'm gonna give it a shot. Whereas like same time, it's like one's gonna win out over the other, whichever one people
Yeah.
find better.
and then I think two others that I like felt like or I'll give you one because one is gonna be one of the others is Undead Unluck.
Yo,
I knew
let's
Undead
you was getting
go.
to it.
Let's
Undead
fucking
Unluck is good, bro. But
go.
it's like Undead Unluck for me. I discovered it like during the JJK like Chainsaw Man hype
Yeah.
era, and for some reason, whenever I mention Undead Unluck to people, they say I like um they say they like JJK or Chainsaw Man more, and I'm always like, why? Like they're not even the same thing. Like why
Never
even
heard of that.
compare those two things? But
Yeah,
Undead Unluck, I think falls under the radar.
it definitely
Um,
does. They got an anime coming out this fall too, so be on the lookout for that. It's coming out on Hulu, so you can watch it, GB.
um, and then there's another one. I'll look it up right now because I always forget the name of the other one.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear
Damn,
wrong.
I was on
Yeah.
mute this whole fucking time. My fault.
No,
Oh
we
shit.
heard you, bro.
I heard
Now
you.
we
Oh,
heard you.
oh, you heard about the Hulu? Okay, cause
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
flipping
yeah,
the switch here. Can you hear me now? Still?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that doesn't work then. Okay.
And then there's an assassin one that everyone compares to Spy Family that I feel like depending on what lane you're in, you overlook the other one.
Are you talking
Because
about the aristocrat who got reincarnated as an assassin?
no, it's like the assassin family or Yazu Kora assassin, something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Let me see. I'm gonna try to look it up real quick.
mm,
Yakuza, I think it's Yakuza family is the name of it.
I think I heard of that one.
No, that might not be it either.
I thought it was.
You know, I ain't heard of that one. So.
But I'll have to find it later, and maybe I can talk about it on Twitter once I hop back on Twitter.
Is it
But
Yakuza and the family?
something like that. But one,
Okay.
I think once you're in the lane for one of those, like the other one gets overlooked because everyone that I meet that's like into like the assassination genre, kind of. Either they like one or the other. I haven't really met people that read both.
I feel like that's kind of good though, because like it diversifies the community, but also it provides good discourse.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas if you got one that's just overwhelmingly better than the other one, it kind of just everyone's kind of gets siloed, so to speak.
facts.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, you want to finish?
I was gonna get into suggestions. We could each make one suggestion and get to wrapping up the show. We got about 20 minutes left.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Can I just give out one more, like, under the
Of
radar
course,
anime?
bro. Of course.
Blue Exorcist. I don't know if people really ever heard of Blue Exorcist, but it was a really great anime that came out, but also came out on the same time of Black Clover. So I feel like Black Clover definitely outshined it in a sense because they were similar characters, very loud characters. They were both like possessed by demons, and they're trying to become like the really Wizard King or like the High Priest or whatever it may be. So they have similar storylines, but Blue Exorcist definitely was very went under the radar, and I liked it when it first came out. I enjoyed it. I actually liked it more than Black Clover at the time, but then I kind of just got onto Black Clover more. Now it's funny because I fell off of Black Clover, but I would say Blue X is definitely one of those anime that you definitely need to go back and check out. But it was a great animation. Like I would say I wouldn't put it in the realm of like cause it kind of gave me like Fire Force vibes too when I was watching it too. Like the way that they use the fire, like pyrokinetics as like a form of like battling. So like I did enjoy the aspect of the anime. So it was really dope. So I definitely want to check out that we watch. I didn't even think I finished it. But yeah, that's the only one I had. So go ahead.
Why'd you fall off with Black Clover? That shit got weak.
I don't even know what it was because I was reading the manga and I got to the point where like it was like in the middle of the arc, it was ramping up. It was really like getting crazy, like the plot lines were being unfolded.
That shit got weak, didn't it? I don't even read it. I don't read it or watch it, but I love trolling people because like people, it's so funny about Black Clover. Like people go so hard for it, and then they just all of a sudden be like, "Well, I don't watch it no more," and I'm not into
Just
it.
stop. Just completely
It's
stop.
becoming for me. It's kind of like
Guilty.
it's in the same, almost the same thing as like DBZ, where I feel like people just watch it because they used to watching it almost, and they got like some nostalgia there. But like I only see like two people take hardcore stances on Black Clover and be like, this shit's still it.
I wouldn't say it's still it. It's definitely good, but I was watching it, I was appreciating, I liked it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna read it because I want to see how far it goes, and the anime's not catching up yet. So I started reading it, and then I stopped for a bit, but I was like, I'll be picking back up. I got my manga hiatus, and now I'm still reading it, not quite week to week, but I'm mostly caught up now.
Oh, you're most caught up.
I'm mostly caught up. I'm probably like 4-5 chapters behind now.
Oh, I'm like
at the most maybe 10, but like not too far behind. But at this point, I'm kind of reading it because like I've gotten this far. I'm gonna just see it through. That's where I'm at. Also,
it's
statements like that make me feel so unsure about like. It makes me feel so unsure about it because I've never seen any clip. I've never read any review. I've never seen anyone like talk about the series in such a way that I've ever felt compelled to pick it up. Not once have I ever felt like, "Ooh,
this is not like something I recommend."
I've never seen a statement. And then whenever I talk to someone about Black Clover and I ask them to like give me a hard line on Black Clover, like why you love it, why you're into it, no one ever really gives like a convincing reason. It's just always like I've come this far, so I might as well just keep
like
going.
a magical Naruto at the beginning.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
And it's like two people. I know two people. I know Simone definitely will go crazy for Black Clover.
Yeah,
and like will defend that shit and will like give good statements. But Simone is one versus many, and it's never convinced me like her on her own to be like And then I think I've seen Johnny go hard for it before on Twitter. I think I've seen Johnny kind of get into it and be like, "Yo, no, this shit good. Y'all niggas tweaking like putting down."
You know what's upsetting about Black Clover? Because they just had a movie come out too, and I started it. And
watching that bullshit.
I couldn't finish the movie, bro, and I just don't care to go back to it honestly, and I don't know why. And my favorite character out of Black Clover was Mary Leona. I loved that. I think that's why I was left off in the manga too. She was about to go crazy, and that's the reason why I even want to go back and pick it up because I want to see what she does. I want to see how she goes crazy.
But she goes nuts. I know what I'm talking about. She goes nuts.
Yeah, also, and the demons. Yeah,
I will say I thought that the last arc was going to be the last one because it felt like that, and then it didn't. They extended it again. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like,
Sound
well,
trash.
I'm gonna keep reading to see what happens because like they made it kind of interesting how they kept the story going, but I thought that was gonna be it really. So I was like, all right, I got one more to go. I'm gonna stay here, and now it's like,
Nope.
oh, they're gonna add more to the world. I'm interested, so they took Asta somewhere else, and it's world
You
building.
said
And
Asta?
it's not
You
his
called
name.
him Asta?
Ass
He
to
is,
bro.
he is ass.
That
Yo!
was unintentional.
Hey, he talk. He talk.
Asta?
Cuzzo talking how I talk about Bleach, bro.
Yo!
They
Oh,
took
man.
Asta somewhere else, but like where they take him, I'm like, oh, I'm actually interested where he went. So I was reading for that alone because I was curious about where he went. It gives some insight on a couple other characters without like spoiling it for folks. But
Nah.
I was thinking for that, but I'm like, but at the same time, I'm reading One Piece, Black Clover, My Hero, and JJK. Black Clover is the one that like I'll read it when I get to it. The other
Which
ones I'll
one?
be
Which
more.
one don't belong? Which
Huh?
one is
one?
not elite? Which one don't belong?
Cuzzo read Black Clover on the flights when he ain't got shit else to read. He just like,
You
let
know,
me check this
download
shit
the
out.
next 50 chapters. And,
But yeah, so
I'll
it
get through
fall off and
these.
fall off. Yeah, basically it
let me
fall
kill
off
some
like
time. I ain't got no
I can
signal.
feel that. You know, maybe one day I'll get around. I've just never. It's just never. Nothing has ever
Don't waste your
compelled me to
time.
like pick
you're
it up.
not
as a
missing a whole
series.
lot.
You're
It's
not
not like
missing nothing.
groundbreaking in the space, but I know it has lots of traction in places because one of the YouTubers I watch, he goes hard for Black Clover. You know, he's a Naruto, like, but on his other channels, he'll pump up Black Clover. He's like, yo, it's so good, one of the best ones. And I'm like,
Is it
you
Anime
know,
Balls
I
Deep?
like watching him. No, it's not him. It's this white dude. I can't remember his name, bro. But he mostly talks about Naruto on his main channel. I'll say that. But like he goes hard for it, and like I like watching him be excited. So like I'll watch his takes on Black Clover because he's good at the content. And he's like, it's always fun watching somebody passionate about something. So I watch for that aspect, not because I fuck with Black Clover, but also I'm here now because I made it this far. You know, I'm gonna see where it goes.
Got to see it through, my boy.
Basically,
Nah, no, you don't. You don't.
Let's
don't.
get into better recommendations and suggestions than Black Clover. Let's go around the table real quick. Everybody can give one suggestion of a series that you feel like may have been overlooked and may have been overshadowed by other series, depending on like whether for any of the reasons that we listed before. Let's all give one. Let's hear from Leak first before his shit glitch out and kick him from the chat again.
Exactly. So the recommendation I have is called Gachia Kuda. It's fairly new. I think it's only been 60 chapters thus far, but it's centered around this young kid who basically lives in the slums, and where he lives at, they're considered like the lowest form of society essentially, and they have him pushed all the way back in the city next to this huge ass pit, basically like where you can't even see the bottom of it, and that's basically essentially where they throw all the criminals. And something happens. I don't want to spoil it. Where he gets accused of something, and they toss his ass down the pit. So he thinks he's about to die, and then he lands, and he finds out that at the bottom of this pit is like a whole entire world, and where he came from is considered heaven. And so when he gets down there, he's like, oh, people are wondering like, yo, you came from the heavens or whatever. So they trying to like figure out who he is and what he does, and he finds out that down here, like, there's a bunch of different monsters and creatures and shit like that. Basically, if I want to say, the monsters and creatures are based off because of the people or whatever. But he ends up, of course, it's quote unquote a shonen. So he ends up figuring out that he has powers, or he's what's called a giver. And I think the interesting about this is like it's not something that where he was born with certain powers, but givers, they give stuff importance, and that's what creates the power. So if you have something that you've kept with you for a long time, like it could be like his gloves, because he cares so much for his gloves and he loves them so much, it literally gives his gloves power. He can manipulate his gloves into different things. And
That's interesting.
him in particular, he's a special giver where his power isn't to give stuff. He can give things that he touched importance. So he can pick something up. And because he sees everything of value, he can literally transform it into something else because he values things and he gives them value. Whereas other people, they might have one single thing like an umbrella that, oh, this umbrella was given to me. Like, this person is always protecting me and da da da. So he can manipulate that one thing, but he's a special giver to where anything he touches, he gives it value, and it's almost like giving something life. And I think it's a real interesting concept that I don't really see that you don't really see in a lot of other things.
Can he use the powers that he so like if he gives gloves powers, can he use those gloves and have those powers for
So
himself, or someone else has to wield it?
so as it stands right now, his gloves are his special item because it was given to him by like his surrogate father. But we're starting to find out that there's a symbol on it. There's something special about his gloves, but he doesn't actually like need the gloves. So like he can pick up a chair and transform the chair into something else because he gives it importance, basically. So I guess you could say that he doesn't necessarily like it's somewhat tied to his own gloves being his medium, I guess you would say, but he's the only one that can do that thus far.
Okay,
So he's Big Mom.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure out what exactly it is, like why he has this ability.
he closer to well, no, he could be Big Mom, or he also could be Shorty from Dressrosa, the little girl.
Oh yeah, the little
Who?
girl, the toy chick.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
What was her fucking name? It don't matter. I know you talking about.
name just left me, but yeah, he might be closer to that as far
Okay.
as function. All right, who we got, Master D?
Are we doing anime only or can it be manga?
It could
Mine's a
definitely be
manga.
manga. Yeah,
Okay, great. Cause I got a
Bleach is not
list.
an anime. I'd never even heard of that shit on anime.
I got a fucking list of manga that can put
You
you
get
on
to do
to.
one.
He heard you get
Yo,
instructions and still was like,
Hot
yeah,
Rose
I'm
Baloo, bro.
I said
that
one
must be-
suggestion. We got 10 minutes left, bro. We gotta wrap this bitch up. We trying to hit times.
All right. Sakamoto Days. That's it. I want to promote Sakamoto Days. The agenda needs to be pushed for this anime because I need it. Manga 'cause I need to become animated. And it follows a retired assassin who's just trying to have a happy family. You would think it's kind of like the one your favorite anime Gene. What's it called?
Spy
Um,
Family.
not well. But it's not in the same realm. It's more like the other Yakuza boss who was like the house band or
Oh,
whatever.
House Husbando.
Yeah, he's a retired assassin. He's just trying to have a family. He's got a wife, he's got a kid, and everything. But then he gets thrown back into the assassination world because they put a hit on his head, and they're trying to come after him now. So that leads to him now going after whoever put a hit on his head in the JCC, which is the whole Japanese, like crime council or whatever you want to call it. That's not the name of it, but like that's the organization that is run by a bunch of assassins. But what I love about this manga so much is not just the funny aspect, but the choreo or these fights are so well done. They're so entertaining. Like even when he's fighting, they're entertaining. You're not gonna want to take your eyes off the page. They're fun to watch. The characters are really likable. Like Sakamoto Days, he's very one of those characters who doesn't speak a lot. He doesn't have much to say, but he shows what he wants to say in his actions. But like I love that they compliment him with another character who has ESP, so he can read minds, so you can kind of get that sense of what Sakamoto is saying and feeling, because he has a very stoic face. I would say, funny enough, he looks kind of like a Peter Griffin character. Take that with you. He does look like Peter Griffin.
Until he turn up on them boys.
Until he turns up on
Yeah.
the nigga, then we get Slim Sakamoto. Then it's like, hold up, now my nigga's going crazy. But still, the manga is going fucking nuts right now, man. And I need everyone to watch. 'Cause I need it to become animated because I'm so excited for this one fucking manga. I love it so much. And I remember when I first mentioned this on the pod years ago. When I first read the first time, I'm like, oh, this is dope. And look at it now, 125 chapters in, and it's still going strong. Still loving it. So,
You've been reading.
Yeah.
You've been reading longer than me.
bro, I remember when it first dropped. I talked to all about it when it
Rome's
first
trying
came
to
out.
push this agenda like Leak did with JJK.
Yo,
I
I
respect
thought
it.
I was the first one reading Sakamoto Days. I picked it up
Bro.
on like chapter 3 or 4, somewhere
Nah,
around
bro,
there.
I picked it up on chapter 1 when that shit first came out, and I was like, "Oh, what's this here?"
I'm not giving you producer credits because like
That's
I don't
crazy.
think that you was the person
That's
that led me to
yo.
read it,
All right,
but you
well,
definitely could have been reading it longer than me.
all right,
Like I
that's
thought I
crazy.
was the first one on the pod reading Sakamoto Days. Honestly,
No, sir. But I probably didn't
yeah.
talk about it much because I remember I read that first chapter and I kind of didn't come back to it after a while. But I definitely was like, "Oh, this is gonna be heat." So I let it build up a little bit before I came back to it because I wanted to binge it, and it definitely was a great binge. Love the fucking manga, man. I need y'all to read it. Oh, you called up though, Jimmy? Because we can talk about this shit on
I'm
offline, yo.
about. I took the month of June off, so I'm about.
Mm. Oh, shit.
I'm some chapters behind, but I'm finna catch up all throughout July on everything. I think the
Oh,
only thing I've stayed current with is One Piece,
okay.
and to an extent, I tried to keep up with another like side thing I was reading, but yeah, I didn't do a good job. I pretty much only stayed current with One Piece and a little
Oh,
bit
well,
of One Punch Man.
Let me know when you call up, cause we can definitely talk about it. Cause it's a character right now, bro. It's a fucking problem. Problem, bro.
I'm gonna catch up, bro.
We already talked about mine, but that was Ace of the Diamond. I stick with my popular manga and anime, but Ace of the Diamond is what I'm pubbing, what I'm pushing. Go watch it. Saw more to go.
Watch it, read it, rewatch it, reread it.
Consume it, be it. Go outside, put on a mitt, feel like you him.
Throw on a baseball jersey.
Throw on a baseball jersey. Get
Yes.
that shit in your
All the
veins,
things,
bro.
all the things. Yes.
In your veins, bro. For me, I'm gonna give a shonen. I have some other ones that I wanted to do, but I'm gonna give a shonen just because it's out, has an anime right now. It was an excellent manga, and I think it's something that people can like go out and just check out right now. That's gonna be Hell's Paradise. When I first was reading Hell's Paradise, I think that a lot of people focused on like the JJK and the Chainsaw Mans once again, similar to Undead Unluck. And Hell's Paradise is a great fucking story. It's a solid like
100%.
104, like 108 chapters, something like that. I think in that range, it might be up to like 120, but it's a solid amount of chapters. You can get through it. It's one of the best shonen endings I've ever read. I think as a whole, shonen does ending stories terribly. Like, I'm actually afraid. I'm actually afraid for how Oda ends One Piece. I hope that Oda ends One Piece in a great way. But as a whole, like overall, shonen does not have a good track record of how they end stories. Hell's Paradise ends very good. It's succinct and it makes sense. Like they tie up the threads that have to be tied up. They leave you hanging on the shit that makes sense. Like it goes very well. And throughout the story, it's beautiful. Does a great job of storytelling and building a world in a very small space.
Is the anime done or is it still ongoing?
The anime is like season 1 is out.
Yeah, the first season should be completed now though, so you can binge.
But literally, if you wanted to read
Netflix,
it,
I'll give it a watch. And
if you wanted to read it, it's a little bit over 100 chapters.
That's what
bro.
Wikipedia say. Yeah,
nah,
it's a little bit over 100 chapters. Just read that shit.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take a look at it on the.
You talking like 1 week of reading? I did it in 2 days. But
Yeah,
I called
quick.
off work. I started on like a Sunday and called off on a Monday to finish that shit.
It is that serious because like I definitely binged in like a day and a half. I was like, wait a minute, this shit is straight gas. On my train rides to work, I'm just there locked in, almost missed my train stop. This shit is that good, bro.
If I'm really into some shit, I'll take PTO in a second, bro. Because for me, it's like mental health, G. If I'm really into this story,
that's fair.
I'm not finna go to work and work anyway. Like I'm gonna be at work reading that shit.
Exactly.
Just anytime I hear footsteps, I'm just gonna get on my computer and act like I was doing something, bro. So like, I might as well just call off. Like I'm not gonna be productive today, G. Just let me read.
I respect it.
Yeah, bro. I called off work and read it in 2 days, and the shit was great. I fucking love the story. I recommend everybody watch it or read it. And I just think it went under the radar for a while. I hope now that the anime is out, it gets the love and shine that it deserves.
Mappa is drawing this. I'm gonna watch it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mappa was in their bag, bro. Honestly, and you know what I love about Hell's Paradise is the themes that they touched on throughout the whole like manga, and they really did a great job explaining it and relating it to the actual story and to the characters.
Facts.
Love that shit. Love that.
Facts. So. With the end of the episode, it's been a long time since I got to say this, but does anybody have any last minute things they want to add or shit y'all want to say before we get up out of here?
Yeah.
It's good to be back, bro. It's good to be back.
Finally.
It's good to be back. You know, we definitely went through our character development arc. Niggas was on time skip. We came back stronger. We came back better. We come to eat these niggas alive because we the fucking best. But I want to promote Lettuce Reviews on Sunday, every other Sundays.
The tone change.
Definitely check me out. I'll review a lot of random shit. But yeah, that's it, man. This was a great ass episode. I love talking with y'all, man. I miss this a lot. Like I miss this energy. Like this stuff that we don't get like in AD. We don't get that like personal, like like that one-on-one conversation with one another. It's just all over the place. So glad to be back.
Definitely miss podding with y'all. Special shout out to One Piece League, the first mate, for keeping me serious about my shit. I definitely been letting like scheduling issues allow the pod to be pushed back way too much. So I want to say, like, shout out to Leak and for taking a stance and being like, yo, let's just do this shit today with what we got and let's not push back no more. And it feels good to, like, be out here. That was a great first step, and you need that shit sometimes. My last comments is, of course, I'm happy to be back. The schedule is looking like we're going to try to do episodes bi-weekly or monthly as we can get people together and make the episodes much more impactful and curated. Y'all can still catch us on Anime After Dark, and you can catch us on any future projects we're doing. check out latest reviews. Come see us at DreamCon. We at DreamCon, and just reach out to us on Twitter at Worst Gen
What's up?
Pod. If you like this episode, if you're listening to the audio version on podcast app like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anything like that, make sure to rate us 5 out of 5 if you really fucked with it. Give us a review if you have the option to give us a review. If you happen to be watching this video on YouTube or on our Patreon, subscribe to the channel, number one. Subscribe to the channel and leave some comments. Let us know what you thought. You know, if you have other under the radar series or things that were overlooked, leave that in the comments. And if you aren't watching us on YouTube and you want to interact with us on Twitter, once again, that's twitter.com/worstgenpod, WORST GEN pod POD. And you can find us there too. I think that's everything. Without further ado, man, until next time, we finna be out this bitch. Let me get my music together. I wasn't ready for this part. We out.
Super.
Yeah.
Deuces.